What's up guys, Ricky Glaser here. Now today we're going to go in depth talking about everything you need to know about pushing MONGO. Before I start the video, it's very important to understand that in skateboarding there actually is no right and there is no wrong. If somebody comes up to you and says, hey, you're skateboarding wrong, they actually don't have authority over you to tell you that you're doing something wrong. Skateboarding is an individual journey and you can't actually do it wrong at all. That being said, you probably never will meet an experienced skater that does in fact push MONGO. People tend to think all the reasons are actually quite superficial, when in reality they're really quite practical. I actually started out skating pushing MONGO. I pushed MONGO for 3 years and got quite good at skating while still pushing MONGO. I'll talk about my personal experience at the end of this video, but right now let's get into the practical reasons why pushing regular is more advantageous than pushing MONGO. Number 1, body positioning. Now, generally when we're going forward skateboarding, our position tends to be a bit crouched and a bit leaning forward. When you're pushing MONGO, our point of contact with the board is towards the back of the board. The way that we connect with the board, we have to stand up quite straight. So we can't actually lean too far forward because our body mechanics just don't really bend that way. So we're standing up very straight and not really leaning as forward as we want to. Then as well, if we want to crouch down, we have to bend our knee in this really awkward way where we can't actually get that low even if we want to. When we're pushing regular with the front foot, our body position is nice and forward. We have a very easy way to crouch down and lean more forward. It feels quite nice on our leg and doesn't take too much energy. We can counterbalance with our foot sticking out to the back, and we are just really nicely centered over the board. Reason number 2, throwing down. If you ever want to get a lot of speed or consistent amount of speed in skating, running and then jumping on your board is really proven to be a good way to do that. It works very naturally to just put your board down with one hand and step into a regular push position and then push. You can work up to getting more speed. You can do it very slowly and then you can do it a bit faster and then you can really run and do it. The thing is, when you try to do this MONGO, your arm has to reach across your body and it makes it very awkward. Especially if you want to run fast and then do this. It makes it very awkward the way that you need to jump onto the board. You may sometimes see people do this. I believe Andrew Reynolds started out MONGO, and I think he said in an interview one time that if he really wants a lot of speed, he will still throw down MONGO. And in Baker 3, when he frontside flips over the 16, you can actually see that he does this MONGO caveman. That's probably the most famous MONGO caveman you've ever seen. Number 3, turning. So while you're pushing, sometimes you do actually want to turn your board while you're pushing. When you have your front foot on the board and at the front of the board, you can really get a lot more maneuverability and you can still lean with your trucks quite well. When you're pushing MONGO and your weight is towards the back, it's actually really difficult to sort of use the back truck to lean. It doesn't quite work out the same, and then you end up having to do a little bit of a manual or a tic-tac, and that really tends not to work out. While you have one foot off the board, it creates all these weird, awkward angles and doesn't work as well as just trying to turn with the trucks. Number 4, set up speed. Now, when you're pushing, sometimes you don't have too much run up that you need to push and then quickly set your feet up and then ollie or kickflip or do whatever trick. Now, when you are doing this regular, the front foot is generally the one that takes more time to set up. So doing it regular, your foot is already in the pretty close to the right position. So you just quickly get your back foot onto the tail and then you're ready to go. Whereas MONGO, it takes a lot more movements to get your feet into the correct position. Your back foot is sort of on the tail, but not quite. So then you need to put your front foot on and then you need to readjust your back foot, and then typically you need to readjust your front foot even again. Whereas pushing regular, you can do it quite quickly. And MONGO, you can still do it relatively fast, but it is a bit more clunky. Number 5, general control. Whether you have to quickly ollie or dodge a pedestrian or push through a crack, it just tends to work better when you're pushing regular. You have all these different tools with a little bit less effort and a little bit more speed, and then you have your body positioned in a little bit more favorable positions. It's hard to explain this one, but it just generally feels like it is a bit easier to do all these things. Okay, now I've got a little bit of a bonus one. You say to me, all right, I do push regular Ricky, but I like to push switch MONGO. Now, this one, I'm not really fully on board with that. If you don't like regular MONGO, you should be consistent and not like switch MONGO as well. But I do find the people that kind of like switch MONGO, it is a little bit more of a fashiony, trendy type vibe. Personally, I've never pushed switch MONGO. Even when I used to push MONGO, I mean, I guess I didn't really skate switch, but I'm not sure how I used to push switch. An argument that they will often use is they will say, oh, but I'm stronger on my dominant leg. When I push switch, I want to get the maximum speed, so I want to push with my dominant leg. Now, that's not necessarily true. Both of your legs actually should be the same strength. You don't want to have your muscles, one is stronger than the other. You do want to have a balanced body, but what they mean to say is they have more dexterity in their dominant leg and their dominant side. And that's kind of fair enough. Maybe you could get a little bit faster, but I mean, the whole point of skating switch is that we're doing everything switch. So then like, why are we trying to do things regular when we're skating switch? So to me, if you want to skate properly switch, I would push switch. All right guys, now let's talk a little bit about my own personal experience pushing MONGO. Please enjoy every documented clip that I could find of me pushing MONGO. I was pushing MONGO relentlessly for the first 3 years, and honestly, I just didn't really realize that there were even two ways to push. And I didn't realize that one way had advantages over another way. I was just like, I'm trying to skate, I'm trying to ollie, I'm trying to kickflip. Who cares about anything else? Pushing, whatever, I don't understand. Fast forward a little bit and it all came to a point where there was a bit of an incident that made me aware that I would prefer to be pushing regular, and it was actually kind of a funny story. So I went to this skate coaching clinic at Riverslide in Melbourne, Australia, probably in around 2002, I'm gonna say. I think it may have been Moomba as well. So my parents took me and my brother there. I believe there was 2 coaches, and then they started off the lesson and they said, all right, everyone stand on this line and push forward here. And then everyone push, push, push. So the people who push MONGO, they go, you're in this group. The people who push regular, they go, you're in this group. And then they separated me and my brother because my brother pushed regular and I pushed MONGO. And then in my group, I started to realize that all these people are like very, very beginner skaters. I said to the coach like, hey, I think I'm in the wrong group. Like I can already kickflip. And I think I did a kickflip in front of him. And then I'd be like, why am I in this group? Like I'm trying to skate. I don't want to learn how to push. And he's like, no, you're pushing wrong. He was really short with me. He's like, no, you're pushing wrong. And then I was like, what do you mean? Like, damn. You know, we finished the skate coaching. We did get to skate a bit more freely later on, and obviously I shredded because I love skating so much and it was fine. But I was a little bit upset, and then from that point I kind of was like, oh, like I didn't even know that you meant to push the other way. And I think from then on I started to be like, oh, okay, like I actually do need to push the other way, and then started making a little bit of a conscious effort to push regular. And now you can have a look at my official last documented pushing MONGO. I think here you can sort of tell I got the DC hat. You can tell that I'm like, I kind of know that I shouldn't be doing it. And I think shortly after that was when I changed. The way that I would view MONGO is something like this. You know, a little kid goes to sleep with their teddy bear every night and they don't want to sleep without it. There's nothing wrong with that. That's perfectly fine. But the truth of the matter is eventually there will come a time in their life where they understand that they don't want to be doing that anymore. Right now, maybe they can't see it, but in the future they will see that they do not want to do that anymore. And I think MONGO is the same. You know, I was MONGO for so long because I didn't realize that it was something that I should put energy into. And I think a lot of people do find that. They naturally want to be MONGO, but they don't understand that they probably should try not to be MONGO. Alright guys, that's gonna do it from me. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope I wasn't too strong saying MONGO is negative. I think I tried to present the things objectively and share my experience. If you are pushing MONGO yourself, please let me know in the comments. Let me know if you're going to correct it. And a like and a subscribe does always help me out. But guys, that is it for this video, and I will see you next time. Peace out.